everybody, today we're going to be writing equations in vertex form. So our goal is to write a quadratic equation in vertex form by completing the square. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to review how to complete the square. So it says to solve, I actually want you to cross out that y equals and we'll make that equals 0 since we're solving. So to solve 3x squared minus 6x plus 12 equals 0 by completing the square. So we have to know how to complete the square. So the first thing that we need to do is subtract 12 from both sides. So we get 3x squared minus 6x equals negative 12. And then, if you recall, we're not allowed to complete the square with a coefficient other than 1. So we have to factor out the 3 because it can't be there. Otherwise, this process doesn't work. So we're left with x squared minus 2x. And I'm going to draw a line because I have to complete the square. So then I get negative 12 plus, and then I'm going to go 3 times that same number. So remember, since I have a 3 out here, I have a 3 here. And we cannot forget that step. So in order to complete the square, I need to take my middle term, so negative 2, divide it by 2, and square it. Alright, that's always the process. So that's the same as negative 1 squared, which is positive 1. And I get to write that 1 on both lines. So I have that 3 in front, and then if I factor this trinomial here, I have x minus 1 times x minus 1. And then negative 12 plus 3 times 1 is negative 9. But I don't want this factored because I can't solve it that way. It's not helpful. So I write this as x minus 1 squared equals negative 9. And when I have this quantity squared, I'm looking to get it by itself, so I can use square roots to solve this pretty easily. So I have to divide both sides by 3, and I'm going to come finish over here. So I have x minus 1 squared equals negative 3. And the only way to get rid of this exponent is to take the square root of both sides, and that is the only way. And I also know I need a plus or minus as soon as I take the square root to get rid of that exponent. Since this is negative, I don't want it under the radical. That means it's imaginary, so this is the same as I root 3. And I can't reduce the number 3, so I leave it there. And then the last step is to add 1. Add 1 to both sides. So 1 plus or minus I root 3 is our final answer. Alright, so we're going to use that process to help us write these equations in vertex form and then state the vertex. So we need to write it in vertex form and then state the vertex. Okay, so this is important for graphing, right? We already did graphing where we looked at the vertex. We did transformations. All of those things require your equation to be in vertex form. So the process is very similar. It's just not exactly the same because we're not solving. We're just rewriting. So the first thing that I need to do is add 3 to both sides. So since y and 3 are not like terms, that just stays y plus 3 equals x squared minus 16x. And then I need to complete the square. So y plus 3, I'm going to draw a line, equals x squared minus 16x, and I have a line. So this is a 1 in front, which means I don't have to add any special numbers to either side. I just have to go into completing the square. So negative 16 over 2 squared is negative 8 squared, which is 64. So that gives me on the left side y plus, well, 3 plus 64 is 67. And then I'm going to factor this side, which gives me x minus 8 times x minus 8. And I'm going to come over here, which leaves y plus 67 equal to x minus 8 squared. And again, we're rewriting it in vertex form. So vertex form was y equals a times x minus 8 squared plus k. So I need to have y by itself. So I have to subtract 67. So that leaves me with y equals x minus 8 squared minus 67. And that is vertex form, my friends. which means I can identify the vertex. So remember that this HK is your vertex. So I need opposite of H, so I need positive 8, negative 67 for the vertex. All right, let's try one more so you can get the hang of this. So again, first step would be to move your constant. So I'm going to subtract 14 from both sides. So that's y minus 14 equals 2x squared minus 12x. So remember, just like in that first problem, I'm not allowed to complete the square with a coefficient other than 1. So we have to take the necessary steps to change that. So I need to factor out a 2. So that gives me x squared minus 6x. Right? Negative 12 divided by 2 is negative 6. And then on the left side, I have that 2 times my same quantity that I get when I divide my b over 2. So right, that's negative 6 over 2 squared, which is negative 3 squared, which is 9. So both places on that line I get to write 9. So that means y minus 14 plus 2 times 9 is 18. I'm going to factor this side, so x minus 3 times x minus 3. So that's y plus 4, right, negative 14 plus 18 is 4, equals 2 times the quantity x minus 3 squared. And again, we need to get y by itself, so I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides, and I get y equals 2 times x minus 3 squared minus 4 for my final answer in vertex form. So what is the vertex? Well, we're looking at HK, so I have 3, negative 4 as my vertex. Remember, we can plot that on our graph. We could use our calculators. We could also describe the transformations, right? That's a horizontal shift right 3, vertical expansion by 2, and a vertical shift down 4, just to bring this back to some things that we've already talked about. So be ready to write in vertex form the next time we meet. See you then.